This is X. Anderson, and welcome to the Principal Podcast today. So excited to be with you today. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the ways we can help influence people for good. And one of the things that we need to recognize when we're trying to influence people for good is there's this thing called expectations. So if my expectations of something is here, my reality comes in lower and it's here. The distance between these two, I like to call frustration. So if I have a high expectation and a low reality, I'm frustrated because this distance between what I expect and my lower reality is called, sometimes people call it disappointment or frustration. We don't want people to be frustrated or disappointed with us, so we have to figure out a way to keep their expectations and reality at least the same. But if we really want to influence them for good, if we can flip these lines to where their reality is now higher, better than what they expect, this switches from being frustration to being delight. And there's been some research that shows that people who are surprised, where their expectations are higher than their reality, it accentuates whatever the emotion is. So if it's negative, it's more negative. But if it's positive, it's more positive. Of course, we're going for the positive emotions because we know that positive reinforcement is one of the most effective ways to shape human behavior. So if I have a high expectation and my reality comes lower, I'm frustrated. If my reality comes in higher than I expect, then I'm delighted. Well, here's the thing. How can we make people's reality higher than they expect? How do we make it better than we expect? Now, I got to tell you, I'm not good at this all the time. In fact, a lot of times my wife expects things from me and I come in short and I come in lower than expected. And that can cause some frustration. Sometimes she frustrates me because of that. Sometimes I get it right, though. Let me tell you one thing where I got it right. My wife, some time ago, she was talking about how much she missed her parents. She wanted to go see her parents. And at the time, her parents lived in Southern California. And so she said, hey, I want to go see my parents. She said it so much that I thought, you know what, maybe this is an opportunity where I could make her reality better than she expects. And so without telling her, I went and bought a plane ticket for her to go down and see her parents in Southern California. And I had my oldest daughter help me pack a bag, so I made sure I got all the right stuff in it. And it was during the holiday times, around Christmas time, and we were following some of our extended family down to go see some lights in this downtown area close to where we live. And as we were going down, now, by the way, there's this part on the freeway where you can go either downtown to see the lights or you can go to the airport. And a few miles before we were going down to see the lights, at least that's what she thought, she said, I just really miss my parents. And I thought, what great timing. I said, yeah, I think you should go see your parents. She didn't think anything of it. But when we got to this turn, instead of following some of our extended family down to go see the lights, I actually turned towards the airport. She looked over at me. She said, hey, you missed the turn. And I said, well, yeah, you said you want to go see your family, your parents, let's go. So she thought I was just being kind of dumb. She thought she's like, well, you better hurry to catch up, otherwise we're going to miss lights. But we pulled up to the airport, got out of the car, I handed her a bag and I handed her a boarding pass. And she looked at the boarding pass and she said, is this real? She goes, is this real? Is this real? I said, yeah, go see your parents. So I got to tell you, she was so surprised. My younger children were there in the car. I didn't tell them that I was sending mom off. I said, you go take some time with your parents. I'll take the kids for a few days. I got to tell you, that was probably one of the best things I ever did for my marriage. And when you think about it, it was probably because she didn't expect it. Her reality was better than she expected. And things were good. We'll just say that. But a lot of times, if we want to influence someone, if we can find a way to make their reality better than they expect and do it in a way that surprises them in a positive way, our ability to build that relationship can go up. And of course, it's all about the relationship. We've got to have a relationship with people to influence them. Sometimes people think we just got to talk to them. The truth is, we've got to have a relationship. And how can we build that relationship? Well, we can try to understand them first, which we can get into on a later podcast. We can try to positively reinforce them. In other words, catch them doing something right. Do it in a way that's unexpected. Like if you kind of think of it as a as a building, the foundation would be we've got to have trust with them. So we've got to walk our talk. We've got to base our actions on principles. We can't, be dishonest or untrustworthy. We've got to have that foundation of trust. Then we've got to have the relationship, and then our words have more power when we have those things. But today we want to talk about expectations. So here's my question for you: how can you exceed the expectations of people who you'd like to influence, whether that's spouse, child? How can you surprise them in a way that exceeds their expectations in a good way, positive way? I want you to think about that, and you're welcome to comment about it if you'd like.
Thank you so much for joining the Principal Podcast. I'm so glad that you listened and took the time. I'm on a mission to help as many marriages and families as I possibly can. I would love to hear from you. Things that keep you up at night, that concern you about your family, your marriage, and things we could talk about on the Principal Podcast. If you like the podcast, please like, subscribe. You can check out my book on Amazon. It's called What I Want My Children to Know Before I Die. And again, thank you for supporting the podcast.